The Yautja are back in a new digital live-action Disney adventure. Uh-oh. This time we see a coming-of-age hunting story from the Yautja's perspective. And along the way he meets some friends who tag along for the ride. It's a non-stop action-packed CGI bukkake party in this violent Disney princess adventure. Predator Badlands. Hello there, you Lucians, and welcome back to another episode of Spicy Boy Reviews. I'm, of course, your host, Andrew Iles. That's right, the latest Predator installment, Predator Badlands, directed by Dan Trachtenberg, known for directing 10 Cloverfield Lane and the latest Predator installments, Prey and Predator Killer of Killers. We meet young runt of the litter, Dek, whose brother Quay is sent to delete him by the orders of his father, because Daddy Poos sees Dek as a pussy. But Quay is having none of it! He gives Dek one more chance to prove himself to Daddy Poos. So Quay aids the escape of Dek's escape from the Yautja planet, and sends him on a hunt on the most dangerous planet of them all, Genna, to obtain the head of the biggest predator of all time, the Kalisk. As young Dek escapes, Quay is deleted by his father, which pisses Dek right off. Dek then crash lands on Genna, and quickly learns that absolutely everything on this planet is trying to delete him. Not long after this, he runs into synthetic torso on a tree, Tia, who informs Dek that if he takes her along, she can help him defeat the Kalisk. As Dek and Tia are on their little adventure, Tia talks about anything and everything, which never gets old, making this a somewhat pseudo-buddy cop team-up comedy. Along the way, Dek learns, through Tia, that there is a huge military colony of synthetic androids. They're all on Genna to forcibly attain some organic bio-weaponry. Classic Weyland-Yutani. And this military colony is led by Tia's synthetic sinister scissor sister, Tessa, who is hunting Dek and Tia simultaneously. Along the way, Dek and Tia do obtain a cutesy little animal sidekick for merchandise purposes by the name of Bud, because Disney can't fucking help themselves. However, I will say they did find a way to tie Bud into the story, and not just being there for cutesy comedic animal purposes. Along the way, we get some awesome action-packed fight scenes, team bonding, and some inserted self-awareness referential Marvel-esque humour. And by the end of the film, we learn lessons of sensitivity and friendship. On paper, this sounds absolutely ridiculous and infuriating for a Predator movie. And at times, it does get a little bit groaning in places. But for the most part, the film does a pretty decent job with pulling it all off. Director Dan Trachtenberg has stated that he wanted to do something different with the Predator franchise. And he absolutely delivers here with having a film from the Yautja's perspective. He's young, inexperienced, and way in over his head. But he wants to prove himself with becoming a full-blown warrior hunter Yautja. It's an interesting idea, experiment, and perspective. For the most part, it works pretty well. However, I really hope this is not the future of all Predator movies. Like forever having the Yautjas the good guys and being super relatable and we side with them. Because as we know from the Yautja culture, at the end of the day, they're still bloodthirsty hunters, whose whole purpose is to kill the most unkillable and obtain a trophy, and prove to the rest of the galaxy how much of a badass hunter warriors they are. And as much as I enjoyed this film and the perspective of this Yautja story, I couldn't shake the feeling that this did somewhat feel like a Mandalorian film. You know, inserting the Yautja in the Mandalorian role. And this gives me the inkling this potentially could be the new template for future Disney films that are primarily aimed at men, which Disney has stated they really want men back watching their films. As aforementioned, this film does look really good, even though you could tell it was 90% CGI. But in saying that, the effects for the most part were done pretty well. The score was also absolutely badass with having a Viking style. And the actor who played Dek, Demetrius, I'm not going to even attempt to butcher that name, did a decent job. And yes, I do realise that Dec is a younger Yautja who's not fully developed yet, but for the life of me, the look of his features, I think, look absolutely shithouse compared to other designs. However, I did enjoy how Dec was straight-laced, stoic, and self-assured, even though he was very much out of his depth. And that's where most of the comedy lies. Elle Fanning does a really good job here with playing two characters who are completely different from each other. But yeah, if you're really over the quirky motor-mouth sidekick, this one might be a little bit irritating. Also, I can't remember if they explained how Tia's legs and torso are a couple of days' journey apart.
And even my legs went that way, and even my head went that way.
And why she was stuck in a tree. Maybe I missed it. Maybe it was explained, and it was one of those flying creatures who chewed her up and spat her out. I don't know. I was honestly expecting to walk out of this film having many more problems with it. It does give you some of those tip-of-the-caps and references throughout, but it was more subtle and way less cringy than Alien Romulus. The film also does a reverse Dutch from the climax of the first Predator film, where Dec takes all the deadliest aspects from the planet that he's on and uses them in the third act fight. And all in all, at the end of the day, it was a decent action-packed adventure. And I actually had a pretty good time with it. I would recommend it, yeah, check it out. But like I said, it was an interesting experiment and having the film from the Yautja's perspective, but hopefully we get something else next time around. Anyway guys, that's my cheeky little review of Predator Badlands. Write down below if you've seen it, what are your thoughts on it, but more importantly, what is your favourite film in the Predator franchise? And of course, if you've made it this far into the episode, please give me a thumbs up because your love and support keeps me going, because I just love movies and I assume you do as well. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe icon because I give out an episode weekly. And I'll see you back here next week for the next review, but until then, stay spooky kids.